Here are the instructions on how to do the marking of features. So log in using the user ID and password that we send you. And then there's some instructions here about the different controls and also some strategies for rapid learning that we'll talk about later. Go ahead and click the Start Experiment button, and you'll start on trial 1. So initially, because we're just trying to get the ground truth for the individual features, we're going to have you mark the features using an image that doesn't have any noise added to it. So for this, what you want to do is click anywhere to make this go away. And now currently we're in the panning and zooming mode, so you can click and drag. But eventually we'll have you hit the space bar to go into the marking mode. And so you can right click to zoom in, and you can go back to panning mode if you want to pan around. Go back into marking mode by hitting the space bar again, and the cursor changes to the crosshair. You click once to mark a feature. Sometimes the first click doesn't take, but just click until you get a circle. And then you can adjust the location of the tail by moving the mouse around and then clicking. If you don't like a feature, you can go back to the moving and panning mode by hitting the space bar, and then you can highlight a feature and hit the delete key, and it will go away. So let's go back to marking mode, and we'll click and center that. We'll mark another one. I don't actually know how tails work, so you can decide how you want to do that. Some features may not have tails, like dots, and I don't know how well to think about how that works. But we want you to go through and mark all the features the way you would mark normal casework. And we need you to get them all. So it's kind of tedious in a region that has a lot of features. You don't have to be super accurate. I actually don't know how to mark some of these, how you'd mark them. And if there's like a third level detail, I guess you could mark that, and then maybe the tail isn't so important. But this allows us to provide feedback to examiners when they're actually doing the visual bootstrapping with noise, because we can tell them, we can not only show them the actual noise-free image when they click and then ask for feedback, but we can also tell them that an expert has previously marked that location. So it gives them two kinds of feedback. One is the feedback that's visual from the actual image without noise, and the other is from an expert who's previously marked these. So that's why we're having you mark them. So you just go through and mark all of these. I'm not sure I did all of them here, but when you're done, and you may have to right-click and zoom out, and then go into pan mode, zoom in, and then pan. I guess it didn't have to zoom out there. And then go back into marking mode and mark some other features there. Sometimes after you go into marking mode, the first click doesn't take for some reason. Okay, so when you're done, we want you to do one other thing, and that is to tell us, we'll go back into overall mode right here. We need you to help us understand the level of noise at which you can see about 2/3 of the features. We'll use this later on in our validation study to find a quality level that we're just going to fix for subjects and ask them to find as many minutiae as they can. So to do this, click the Reset Quality button. And now you can't see any features here. So click once over here. And then we'll start increasing the quality. And we want you to increase the quality, and so you can just barely determine you can just barely see the features that are underneath each mark. And you can actually hold the Q key to make the features, make your marks disappear momentarily so you can see what's underneath them. So keep going until you can just barely detect about 2/3. I don't know, for me, I'm not an expert, but that might be reasonable right there. And then when you're done, click the Start Annotation button, and then just go through and say whether each feature is a bifurcation or a ridge ending or maybe some of these more esoteric kinds of features. I guess this is a trifurcation? No. A delta, maybe? Is that a part of a delta there? That's a ridge ending, bifurcation. Just keep going through, and then at the end, it will finish this trial and save your data. So the data isn't being saved until you actually finish all of the annotation. So it's important to go through all the annotations here. There may be some ambiguity about whether something is a ridge ending or a bifurcation. So just pick which one you think is most representative of that particular feature, with the understanding that maybe with additional pressure, a ridge ending might turn into a bifurcation. If you make a mistake here, it's not the end of the world. So just go through, and then when you're done, it'll actually save your data. I'm just going to click bifurcation for all these, just so I can get to the end of the trial here to show you what it looks like. And that's it. So that's saved the data to our database, and then you'll just go on to the next trial. If you have time to continue, you can click continue. If you want to come back to it, you can just close the browser and then come back at another time and keep working on trials. Okay, so that's how to mark features.